Hey everyone, it's Tara here. Haven't done a video in a while because I've been accommodating and pivoting through life like the rest of you have. I just wanted to share a few things that I've been getting a lot of questions about. As far as a lot of the questions I've had over the past 6 months really has been less about helping people with their own levels of activation and anxiety, and a lot more about their kids and especially their teenagers really struggling through this time. So I've tried to refer out as best as I can, give advice where I can. It is a difficult time for families for sure. And now we are coming up to back to school. So I just looked at my province's back to school recommendations and plans. And it's consistent with what everybody else is doing, of course. I've been advocating for return to sport in a healthy way because I have someone graduating soon that needs sports for their future career, and they have a small window of opportunity to get the electives they need to graduate and the sports experience and play they need to have a shot at post-secondary sports scholarships. So that is something that I've been actively advocating for. In the midst of this, I'm looking at what's coming down, and it came through in the province's recommendations with no kind of psychological balance, no support for, helping your kids mentally and emotionally, especially if they're younger, coming back into school with these new rituals in place. And all of the rituals focus on things like symptom checking. And so here we have a province that is recommending that all of their students go through a health assessment every day, so that, and it's important that nobody come to school sick, and I understand that, but what we have is a focus on the symptoms of this illness, the severity of the disease. The media is only talking worst case scenario. They're only talking in waves of, first it was who was on ventilators, and then it was who was having strokes, and then it was what age groups they were getting the sickest at, and then recently now it's the long haulers, and then with coming back to school, they've added even more hypervigilance and fear around children spreading, and where parents are talking and commenting about how they feel back to school is making their kids guinea pigs and putting them in a petri dish, and all these very dramatic representations of what back to school is going to be like. And I understand how people feel like that. However, this energy and this language and this approach is really detrimental to children's nervous systems. It is the opposite of what we want, which is a nervous system that can regulate, that can come back down to a calm baseline. Your immune system functions best when you know how to self-regulate and keep yourself in a calm baseline and not be hypervigilant like the media says you should be all of the time. So we have a conflict here because not only are parents swelling up with media hype, and I realize we need to be cautious, but also they're projecting that onto their children. The difference is the children's brain is still developing. What we risk is wiring up our own children, the next generation's brain, to be hypochondriacal, anxious, hypervigilant, unable to relax, afraid of other people, afraid of germs, afraid of touching things. As it is, everything's going to be disinfected and infused with chemicals. So we're already disrupting our microbiome, which is the basis of our immune system. You add the psychological piece in of fear, long-term chronic fear. We're not designed to operate that way and stay healthy. So this is counterproductive if we want kids to go into this environment and have a chance at staying healthy and also being able to learn, because you cannot learn in a fear-based state. So some of the balance that I wish that our government had was a team of psychologists that had training in neuroscience, that knew how to talk to young children's minds and nervous systems and help parents and children be more regulated. You might feel concerned, but you can also learn how to manage that concern because you're going to be dealing with this for a while. So what else could you do? Yes, we want the health checks. So you also want to take whatever that piece of fear is, or that piece of awareness, even if it's just awareness, and counterbalance it with 4 times the amount of resource. So resource is positive things. So if you have to do a health check, symptom check, you don't want your kids growing up surveying, scanning for disease symptoms all the time, because the body can start to manifest. That's where we see psychosomatic expression. There's an entire field of psychoneuroimmunology that studies how thoughts and nervous system can impact the immune system. If the goal is to really create a robust nervous system and a robust immune response, we have to be looking at the mental emotional health of parents and children. And to do that, we need to redirect, do what we need to do what the school requires us to do if we're sending our kids back to school, and I am. And then do the opposite. If you have young children, especially, this is so much easier. What are you looking forward to learning today? What's going to be the best part of today? And take the things that they have to do that are new and make them something that they think of like a video game, where they see the power bar go up. Your immune system is going up when you're washing with soap and water versus a hand sanitizer, for example, or when you're maintaining social distance, or when you're playing, or when you're laughing, or when you're connecting in healthy ways, or when you come home, or every day you're looking at what are the symptoms. This is probably the most important one. What are the systems in place? What are the symptoms that I have that let me know that I am healthy in this moment? So every day, have your kids look at the beginning of the day, when they get home from school, when they go to bed. If they're going to scan for something, have them scan for health. How do I know I'm healthy? Where do I feel that I have the most energy? If I could feel the most energized and supported and optimal, if I had a superhero immune system, what would that feel like, and where would it start in my body, and how would it go? And if every time that I eat healthy food, that I get extra sleep, that I don't eat extra sugar, that I make these healthy choices that support my immune system, that I exercise my body, that I play, that I laugh, every time I do that, my power bar goes up, my immune system power goes up like a superhero in a video game. What if we played those games with our kids every single day, where we had them imagining and visualizing what it would be like to have the best immune system possible? For sure, we know from the research that it does actually improve your immune response. So it's not a magic bullet. You also have kids that are not going to go in afraid. They're going to follow the rules, because that's going to be part of it. It's not all or nothing. But you can have kids make this be a positive experience. Every time I leave the house, I'm covered in this bubble, and this bubble protects me and keeps me safe and feeling healthy. And this is my my bubble zone. Healthy bubble zones are a thing. So make this be a healthy experience versus this distance, which is a negative thing. Make it be a positive thing. Well, this is just my bubble zone, and in my bubble zone is everything I need to keep me healthy. And don't use the word safe. Healthy. This is what keeps me healthy. Every day I'm looking at, how do I know that I'm healthy? Because I feel that I can focus, because I feel wide awake, because I feel happy, because I can breathe deeply, because I don't have the sniffles, because I have calmness, because I had a good sleep. You could rattle off a list of all the positive attributes of all the ways that we know. How do you know that you are healthy in this moment? How do I know that I'm healthy in this moment? Because I can exercise today, because I got up and I took a deep breath, because I went for a walk. Because what are the indicators of health that we could focus on, and that we could help our children focus on, rather than the indicators of disease that the school system and the province and everybody else is trying to focus on instead? We need to take what they're giving us and flip it, and then do it 4 times as much to counteract the impact, the negative impact on the wiring up of these kids' nervous systems for their best and healthiest futures, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, and to optimize learning. If I'm sitting and I have my bubble zone, and my bubble zone has my favorite smells and my favorite things and my favorite memories, then they're going to be able to sit and relax and actually learn, because their physiology will change if they feel like a bubble zone is supportive, rather than distancing, which is not supportive or isolating. So it's about reframing, it's about changing the language, it's about giving them resources so that you're getting the same impact. Behaviorally, they're modifying in the ways that They need to modify right now, but you're giving them a chance to go forward and have a healthy response in every way and build resilience during this time, rather than taking your fear and their fear and everybody else's fear and then having it compounded and then creating a generation full of anxiety and lack of social connectedness and an inability to have relationships because nobody's socialized anymore and everybody's afraid of everybody. That's not what we want. And the only people that are going to make changes so that that doesn't happen are parents, because I'm not seeing it happen in the government, and I don't know who's advising them on the psychological front, but I'm not seeing evidence of it even down through the school systems. They're throwing out 1-800 numbers and different resources for people your kids can talk to. This is something your kids need every day. Every day we're going to talk about all the different places that you know that remind you how healthy you are. Because remember, the percentage of people that are getting sick from this are very, very small. The percentage in the grand scheme of numbers, 16 per 1 million, is very small, and the percentage of children is even smaller. So even though it's a big issue and it is serious and it's important, let's not forget the risk percentages and have a response that's according to the data in that direction. But regardless of what your plans are for back to school, we've been in this for months and people are wearing down. The people that are going to suffer the most are the children's nervous systems that are developing off hours at home and off the teachers at school. So everybody, every adult has a responsibility to self-regulate, to reframe, to refocus, to do mindfulness work, to get some support if they need to, but to be very careful how you're talking about this with your children, and that you're talking about health. Health, 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 immune system, health, happiness. You're talking about that 4 times, 8 times, 12 times more than you're talking about what symptoms somebody might have, especially as a child. So be really cautious that you're not projecting fear onto your kids because their brains are still developing. We don't want them to develop that way. What can you do daily to reinforce that we live in a safe and supportive and a kind world that they will survive and thrive in? Focus more on that than anything else. If it comes up, use the art of distraction. Go play. Do the fast forward. The fast forward is take yourself out of this moment, put yourself into a moment when this is over. This too shall pass. When this is over, what are you all going to do to celebrate together? What is one thing that will be different that you can look forward to, that you can plan when you're feeling off, that you can use to change your state? Focus on something better in the future if you're struggling in this moment. But it's diligent work, and I know we're all tired, but they're really depending on us to be the barometer for them and the compass for them through this difficult time. This is one thing that unfortunately most school systems and the province are not including in their package, and they really should be. How do you talk to your kids about going back to school during a pandemic when you're a freaking wreck yourself? So we need to regulate so that they can co-regulate off of us, so that we can all be healthy. This will be good for all of us, but it's work that we need to do every single day, all day, because the media is not taking a rest. The virus isn't taking a rest. So unfortunately, put your energy into this because it will pay off. Everything else that you're putting your energy into, all the fear, is not going to pay off. It is weakening you by the day. Do something to make yourself better. Do something to make your kids healthier. This will make it an easier fall, I promise. Give it a shot.